I just want to go back and talk about the Bloc Quebecois. Did some quick math here. Just take a closer look at our friends here in the Bloc Quebecois, or as we're being told, the shrinking party of Quebec nationalism. Because it seems like they're facing down a line of 23 and a half seats in the 2025 federal election. So if you're betting on the over on this one, you might want to reconsider. But I'm going to say before, spoiler alert, if I had to bet, I'm going to go against the market read here and go with the over. But let's see what the prevailing narrative says, because right now their chances of hitting even 24 seats looks as about as strong as Pierre Poilievre's chances of becoming Canada's prime minister. The most recent 338 projection optimistically pegged the bloc at around 25 seats, but I'm afraid reality is overtaking these estimates. The latest polling data suggests that the bloc is tumbling harder than Elon Musk's credibility. Take this Angus Reid poll from March 24th. Nationally, the bloc support has cratered to just 6%, down from 11% a few months ago. See, that's the thing. Nationally is not a thing with the Bloc Quebecois. You should not be polling nationally. Opinion polls nationally. That's what I mean. That's like them. They're fudging the numbers intentionally. Obviously, people outside of Quebec are going to have a lesser positive opinion about Quebec as Canadian nationalism rises. Anyways, there is still this Ledger poll it's given us some fascinating Quebec-specific drama. They've got the Bloc sitting at just 25% in Quebec, a full 11 points behind Mark Carney's Liberals. Now, losing ground to the Liberals isn't exactly something new for Quebec nationalists, but losing to Mark Carney, a guy who's got the charisma of a spreadsheet, his charisma level hovers somewhere between a bank statement and a room temperature glass of milk. It probably has to sting, but that's why I'm calling the bluff here. CBC's poll tracker is showing trouble, estimating that the Bloc is going to land somewhere between 19 and 27 seats, which is comfortably down from their previous haul of 33. Actually 32, and then they got an extra one in the by-election more recently. At this rate, they might want to start updating their political profiles. According to the media, what exactly is driving this dramatic decline? Again, according to the media, shout out to Donald Trump, somehow managed to scare Canadians so badly that even Quebecois separatists are suddenly lining up behind the Canadian Maple Leaf. Nothing unites Canada like an orange-haired narcissist south of the border threatening to annex parts of the country. Quebec voters, long known for their contrarian spirit, are suddenly backing the Canadian flag and singing "O Canada" in defiance of Trump's imperial fever dreams. Then there's the Mark Carney effect, which, let's be clear, is less about Carney himself and more about the Liberals finding someone who isn't Justin Trudeau. Carney isn't exactly exciting anyone, but at least he's new, vaguely competent, and didn't dress up as Aladdin at parties. For a lot of Quebec voters, that's enough to drop the Conservatives faster than Poilievre drops Bitcoin after a market crash. So let's face it, Quebec nationalism isn't exactly having momentum right now on a national scale, but I think that there's a bit of a mirage happening where the media is trying to suppress what is an actual push towards real Quebec nationalism because of both the threat of annexation, but then also the push towards more Canada nationalism, which is like Quebecers are then being like, yeah, Jimmy Sauvé, motherfucker. The Bloc is getting squeezed here, apparently, but we'll see. We're going to see. This is something I'm probably going to bet the over. Writing that down. Betting the over. Because the bottom line is that the Bloc Quebecois is likely heading into this election better than what the media is saying, because the media is saying they're weaker than ever, and I do not believe that. I think that's garbage nonsense. I feel like the 23 and a half seat line, in theory, is good, but I think the media wants to tell people, sorry, Bloc supporters, it's looking bleak out there. Better luck next time. But I feel like this is one of those instances where I've said it a million times on this channel. Polling is there to manufacture the result that is desired, and this is a perfect example of it. No one wants to back a losing train. And if Quebec nationalism is not on the forefront of people's minds, if people aren't talking about it, then it's not going to be talked about. And the media does a good job at suppressing this. And I just got to say, one, I think the result is going to shock people. And two, I know that Quebec nationalism, Quebec separatism is at a fever pitch point in comparison to where it was at in the past few years, at least in the last decade, because of this stuff involving Trump. So I really just don't believe those numbers. Anyways.